Hello, and welcome to another virtual tour presented by the Maine Brew Bus. My name is Don Littlefield. I'll be your guide today. This is episode 13 of our virtual tour series, and this one focuses on the folks at Austin Street Brewery. Before we introduce our featured guest today, I wanted to take a few moments and thank some of the people that have made this happen. These virtual tours did not exist 10 days ago. We were able to come up with an idea where we could connect our partners with the people that wanted to have information about what's happening in Maine's breweries, wineries, and distilleries. So I would first want to thank the company and the people that pioneered this concept. That would be Brew Tours. Brew is out of Ottawa, Canada, headed by Brad Campo, who was able to share his boilerplate plan right after he'd done his very first one. Excuse me. I also want to thank the Maine Brewers Guild. With their support, we've been able to get this information out to all member breweries statewide and have encouraged them all to find a time to come on and to share their story with all of us. Mr. Greg Klein, who's been producing these behind the scenes, he's been doing a lot more than just sending me questions and comments, but has also been working on the audio for podcast and has been really making this actually a professional presentation. And most times I forget to thank him. So I'm thanking him from the beginning because I'll probably forget later on. But thanks, Greg. Your support and your expertise has been invaluable to make these things work as well as they are doing. We want to thank carhopme.com, official sponsor of our virtual tours. Carhop is a way that you can get local beer, wine, and spirits delivered direct to your home. They have nearly 20 different partners that are all producers, as well as several retail stores. So there's very little that you will not be able to find by searching Carhop. You can even use a little search function to search for the brand you're seeking, and it will connect you with the location that you can get that. Within an hour, you'll have it at your door, right exactly with the instructions that you give them. And one of the breweries that is able to be part of Carhop is right here. It's Austin Street Brewery. Hello, Will.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Good. I'm hopping up. I'm taking a seat on the forklift. So.
Perfect. Let me get one more plug in there. The other organization I want to thank is Maine Life Media, the producers of Cheers for Maine, which is a television show that I host. They actually gave some support to me, and they took this concept, and we actually recorded an entire episode of Cheers for Maine yesterday using just virtual conversations that were all done online. So I want to thank their support. It's a show that I host, and I'm really pleased to be part of that and to take this, take this concept to a new audience, and that will air this Saturday, statewide in Maine, on Channel 6 in Portland and Channel 2 in Bangor. Those are the News Center Maine stations. Now introducing our featured tour partner, who has taken a seat on the forklift as he promised. It is Mr. Will Fisher from Austin Street Brewery. Hello, Will.
Hey, Don. How you doing? Hi, everybody.
Doing well. Yeah, everybody's happy to see you. We've had a little time to get this organized, as you wanted to make sure that it was at the right time, and it feels like everybody's kind of got a momentum now. So I appreciate you taking the time out today.
Yeah.
Do you have a glass with you? And if you do, what do you have in your glass?
I have a can. You see this?
Oh yeah.
So we
Offset. Just came out.
Yeah, and this can in particular is canned about 3 seconds ago, or 3 seconds before I got on this call. So I pulled right off the line. So
just grabbed it.
Yeah. So some of the perks are still there.
I love it. I'm enjoying this. This is
nice.
A classic Patina Pale Ale, which I was able to get from my local independently owned retail shop nearby. So I'm gonna open that up and pour it into my little special Austin Street glass right here.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, this is more of a sipper. You made a good decision, Don, on a daytime beverage. Offset's 9%, so I'm gonna go slow with this guy. But
let me offer you a cheers. Too late.
Cheers. Gotcha.
Cheers. Awesome. Beautiful. I love this beer.
Thanks.
All right. So the general format here, Will, is I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Cool.
Every once in a while, I'm going to pepper in some of the comments and questions that are coming in.
Okay, great.
I have somebody else who's kind of grabbing those for me. That's Greg Klein. Also, Victoria Fiora is assisting today, so she's watching behind the scenes as well. So don't worry about any of the comments that come on the screen. We'll get to those at the right time.
Okay.
So we want to thank a few people who have joined us. Atlantic Real Estate Network, hello. Woodcraft Beer, Dan Thompson, PPC, and Kate Jane. We see you all here, so welcome. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. First of all, Will, for those who do not know the Austin Street story, could you give us a little synopsis of the background of your company?
Yeah, of course. So myself and Jake Austin started Austin Street Brewery. Actually, it'll be 6 years on April 12th.
Wow.
And we started with our own money that we raised, or saved, I should say. And we've been able to maintain that ownership to this day. So we still own the company 50-50. We've grown to 20 employees now, 2 locations. We're still self-distributed in the state of Maine, and we operate taste rooms at both locations as well. And yeah, it's been a wild ride, but it's great. We left our regular jobs to do this, and I guess sort of like a pretty classic small business startup story. So getting sick of the real world and want to do something a little bit different. And
that's right.
Here we are. So.
And it's basically true. Something we make sure to tell our tour guests on the bus is that it's very easy to think that Jake Austin equals Austin Street Brewery. It's just his last name, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Yeah, so that's a good question, and people always ask us how we got our start. I think people are just curious, or maybe wanted to do the same thing. And Jake was an avid homebrewer, and he did that homebrewing on Austin Street in Westbrook, which is where he lived. And the joke then was that he lived on the street, the same last name. And then I joined up with him, just kind of helping him out on homebrew days. And my part of the business was that I wanted to start a business someday, and we started chatting and got to this point, or this decision. Nice. Over the course of the year 2013. And then when we came for a name for the brewery, we had already had some people writing about us on blogs and in the Portland Press Herald, and we were using the name Austin Street Home Brewery, and the name was sort of already out there. We couldn't think of anything better, and so it stuck. That's what we went with. So. That's cool. It's got a nice heritage to where we started from. So. It does. It really it ties that in, and I first became aware back in the homebrew days when there were major events with so many beers on tap at the house during a Memorial Day party, I believe, and I wasn't able to attend, but it's really impressive what those early days were like. So your first shop was One Industrial Way, and you've operated that for ever since you started. But then recently you opened up a location in Portland on Fox Street. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Jake and I had always dreamed of having a place that was closer to downtown. We just love the city. We already lived here, both lived here, and we started the company, and so it was an easy decision. We always wanted to be down here doing this, and it was just so far out of our reach financially. But this property came up. The realtors actually contacted us, and they had heard the grapevine that we were looking, and we talked and almost took about a year of planning and negotiations to get the lease signed. It was a ton of work, but we really were driven to make this location work, and here we are, and we're very excited to have it. Another option at the time was for us to move out in the woods somewhere and just brew more Patina and more Never Ender and sell that to distributors out of state, which we had demand for there as well, which we may want to do someday, but we really wanted to remain wholeheartedly a Maine brewery, at least for now. I don't know if that was a good decision or not, but to be determined. It's only been a year since we've been in the new spot, but it's great. If you haven't been here before, it's right off 295. It's right across from Whole Foods, the same building as Rising Tide, our great neighbors. We have tons of free parking. We have a huge outdoor patio for warmer days, and it's been a great spot. And both spots have been super busy. It's been awesome.
Yeah, which is great, and a tribute to the beer, which is great, and the facility that you made there is vastly different than what you have ever seen in an industrial way. It's light, it's bright, it's modern, it's airy. It's a really cool space, but it's also a space that's not open to the public right now.
Correct.
So
after all that, you can't come in.
After all that, you can't come in. So let's talk about that. Looking back in the timeline, I see where you had decided to have a company-wide meeting on the 14th, which was a Saturday.
Yep.
And was that the first time that you started to figure out that things were drastically going to change over the coming days?
Yeah, I mean, I was out of town with not much access to anything. The week before that, I got back Thursday night, and when I sort of started looking at my phone again, it was really one of the first times away from I had my phone, my computer on all week doing work, but by the time I could really step away for the first time in 6 years in that respect, and boy, did I come back to something I wasn't
That
expecting.
didn't work out.
No, I was gone from Saturday. Sarah and I were gone from Saturday to Thursday, and when we got back, a lot of changed in 6 days. And anyways, I hit the ground running and really haven't stopped since then. We had that talking to staff, of course, but the meeting was really with our front of house staff, talking to them about their level of comfort based on information from the CDC and the WHO and the state of Maine, determining, where are their heads at, how are they feeling, and it was a really good discussion. And we're, as I told them at the time, we're still learning how to deal with this too. It's our first pandemic, all jokes aside, and to be patient with us as we try to figure this out. And I promised to do everything I could to help them. So.
For sure. If you have questions or comments, we're talking with Will Fisher of Austin Street Brewery in Portland, and you can put those right in the comments section down below. I do want to give, you're very popular, Will. A lot of people are coming in here, so we want to say hi to Abbott House Guitars, who gave us a hello, a wave. Maine RLA, hello. Will Ryan from Blaze Brewing Company has joined. I see Kiara from the State of Maine Office of Tourism. Hello, Kiara. A bunch of folks have joined, and Rising Tide is watching as well. So we thank you all for being part of this virtual tour with Austin Street Brewery. Okay, so you're conveniently out of town. The team's got to figure everything out. You've made some drastic changes. So, what I know is that you're still open for business. You're still open 7 days a week at Fox Street. You're open Friday and Saturday with some modified hours at Industrial Way. But tell me about how from the guest perspective, from the customer's perspective, how have things changed at each of those locations now?
I mean, I'm obviously not a guest technically of either of our business, but I mean, in a literal sense, you can't come inside right now, and for good reason. We are offering a sort of like I guess you can technically Industrial Way. We're offering sort of like a walk-through service at Industrial Way and a drive-through service at Fox Street, but it allows everyone to safely purchase our product without coming in close contact with us, and we're using all the sanitizing methods needed to make sure that it's safe for everybody, employees and guests alike. It's obviously a very different situation. We love to see people in here enjoying our products on site, but that's just not doable right now, and that's okay. But people have been supporting us through and through. Our wholesale business has been super strong. Still selling plenty of beer to retail package stores in the state of Maine and Massachusetts. And yeah, it's been great. It's been a busy day already. The drive-through at Fox Street's working great. So.
And the drive-through is literally where the awning is. It's what is outdoor space. Was previously fueling stations for tractor trailers, so it's actually configured very conveniently for drive-through service.
It's perfect. When Jake and I were saying, like, it's unfortunate this is why we have to use this now, but it's pretty much built for this, so why not? It's really worked out pretty well. So.
A few more folks to say hi to. New England Beers has joined. T.Lewis_NH. Hello. Boston Beer Journal, our friends that are covering the news of the industry down in Boston. Blaze Brewing has also joined, so we want to say hi to all of those folks. We're talking with Will Fisher from Austin Street. Feel free to throw in any questions, comments, or if you want to pen any fan mail to Will and for the beers that they produce, feel free to put those in the comments section. So I wanted to talk about how busy you've been. So one of the things that didn't crack me out, I'm not surprised, but at one point you had 8 beers ready for pickup, curbside, drive-through, walk-through, and also delivery through car hop, and then you had half of that by the end of the day. So what happened on that day?
Like I said, it's been very busy. We sold a lot of beer really quickly. We actually, essentially to answer your question, this was an unexpectedly busy day. And that's great. We actually are now talking about making more beer and how that's going to look. And so I'm not going to go into that detail right now because we still are talking to our staff about how that's going to look. But anyone can do the math. I mean, as we run out of beer and sales continue, we obviously need to make more beer. So we're talking about to staff with them right now and trying to decide how we're going to handle that, which is good. It's tough though too because we have a lot of direction and instruction from people saying that that we shouldn't be out there, we shouldn't be doing stuff, and so we're constantly. It could go as far as saying it's a moral dilemma, but Jake and I are constantly talking about what is the right thing to do for our guests, our employees, and ourselves in the business, and as long as it's safe. We want to stay open. We want to make money to pay our bills. Simple concept, but we don't know how long it's going to last. I'm a big planner. I plan everything and plan the business and got all the money we need to do this. And it's easy when you have timelines and expectations and everyone's open on the same page. But right now, everyone's limited and it's crazy. So it's really hard to project. And this is the same boat as any business. It's hard to project what to do when you don't know how long you need help for. So that's the challenge.
I think we're obviously struggling with this as well. We don't want to cancel any more than we have to, but I think you and I both have businesses in the city of Portland. The city of Portland last night had an online meeting for the first time. Excuse me, for the first time ever, and they extended the wow.
Take your time.
Pardon me. They extended the emergency order, which is in essence, they don't want us to have any non-essential travel. They want us to stay home. So do you think that those orders, which are 28 more days, does that help define the business model you're going to have for the coming month?
Exactly, yeah. We were really looking towards the city and the state of Maine as well. And we do distribute in Massachusetts now a little bit. So we're looking towards the state of Massachusetts and the governor there. And both governors are really pushing to keep keep essential things open. And we're including breweries and liquor and retail package stores. So that was a big decision on our part as to what we're going to do, because if we had to all shut down, then we're obviously not going to make more beer. But now it appears we're going to be staying open. And this gives us the opportunity, which we're grateful for. But also, it's more difficult in some ways because now that time has just been extended, will be extended again. Hopefully people are going to get better and this gets wrapped up as soon as possible. But it does leave a lot of unanswered questions. So we're sort of in that weird space again. But at least we have a date to work off of, and we can plan around that a little bit.
Nice. Yeah, it's. I think all of us want to know what the end timeline is. We want to know what date we're shooting for, and we just don't know, and that's super uncomfortable for planners. But you also can't go day by day. You got to kind of look at chunks of time. So that's really interesting. Some more folks have joined us. Rory 4130 says, "Hey." Beer Cellar has joined, our friend's Beer Cellar over around the corner. So welcome to the virtual tour.
Hey, Greg.
Hi, Greg. Monasterio Cervecero. Hola. I'm not sure where they're at, but I have a sense it is not in Maine. The Crafty Crack joined us as well, or the Crafty, one way or the other. So a bunch of folks that are watching this virtual tour with Will from Austin Street Brewery in Portland. So are you in the forklift? Are you on top of the tines? Where are you in the building here?
I can flip this around, right?
Flip this around and kind of give us a little look-see of what we're looking at.
Looking at
are we driving? It's probably unsafe to drive in film, so.
Yeah, so I'm in the hot side right now, looking at the brew house and the taste room. We can actually go ahead and take a look at that. We're talking about it a bunch.
Yeah, for sure.
See the drive-through in action.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. This is a beautiful light space, especially in the afternoon. But we'll be back there soon enough. You've got a lot of plants that you have to take care of in the meantime. So
I take care of these. The ferns are my job because I have to climb on a ladder to water them. So, but a lot of plants, and it's kind of spaced out right now. We've built some plant barriers for people, but to keep people in the right places. But the drive-through is great. So it works perfect.
So do people have to pre-order, Will, or can they just drive up, honk, and wait for somebody to come out on roller skates?
we're trying to keep it simple. So we have so far we have just had people come in and they can order right from the car. Essentially, have a menu there for them. Just trying to keep it simple. You can, if you want delivery, you can use car hop to get beer delivered to you, and those details are right on our website. But we really wanted to keep it super simple. Let people come in here. You can see what beers are available on our website, but we like having a conversation with folks at a 6-foot distance. Having the conversation here, answering their questions, being able to help them choose what sort of beer they're looking for. So it's not out of the question, but the system has been working really great for us.
Yeah. If you do use car hop, you can save 50% on your delivery fee by using code BREWBUS. I just want to point that out there. Felix H. Zhang says you have beautiful plants there. So I've seen Will up there on the ladder watering those plants, so he does a good job of that. McMacPack05 asks a question. Any chance of keg availability after this is over? I would buy a kegerator if that was a possibility.
That's a good question. I was just talking to the Maine Brewers Guild today about this, about all the new options that have become available, and I think it's gonna create some, expectations of consumers moving forward, and that's fine. We do sell retail kegs, to answer that person's question. We don't sell them from our tasting rooms, though. We do now because we have kegs that we're trying to sell. Like a lot of people think there's really no draft beer being sold right now. Otherwise, though, you can buy kegs from us anytime at any, I would say, participating retail store. Greg from the Beer Cellar is on here. That's a great spot to go. We sold them to RSVP in Portland, Bow Street Beverage in Portland, and other retail stores around the state. So if we deliver in that area and we're in that spot, and just you can go ahead and ask the person that owns that retail store if they're willing to do this. It's a freeway street. They have to be on board as well. We're happy to facilitate in the future.
That could count for out of state if the retail establishment was able to order in. You probably have to give some lead time. So if you're planning an event or something, they probably could do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're in Massachusetts and if that would work. But Utah, as far as like a special event, if you need a lot of beer, give us a heads up. Obviously, anytime you can give us a heads up, the more warning, the better. People are usually pretty good now with wedding plans and stuff happening so far ahead of time. I'm usually hearing from people a year out. So.
We want to say hi to IA Beer Cup. I know I've misidentified them before, so I've said LA Beer Cup, but it's IA Beer Cup. And I think that's an Ola as well, as I remember looking that up a short time ago. Let's talk about some of the new beers. So you mentioned Offset, which is canned and available today through all those methods we just talked about. And then on Thursday, you have something that's been highly awaited and anticipated. Can you talk about that release on Thursday?
Yeah, we're doing a batch of double dry hop patina on Thursday. That's a beer that we usually do once or twice a year. And that was something we started doing back before it was double dry hopped everything. So, which no offense to anyone that does double
it was super rare. That's true.
We still do double dry hop patina. It's just a way for us to have a good time with a beer that is our flagship staple, but to remove some of the hops we normally use and then try something fun to see how we can change patina. I mean, I hate to say it, but patina, you kind of get used to it, I guess. It's a great beer, but it's kind of fun to play around a little bit, and this gives us a great chance to do that. And a lot of other beers too, our IPAs and double IPAs are naturally double dry hopped anyways. So on those beers that we, Florence, Anodyne, Offset, Neverender, Bomb Track, those go through multiple rounds of dry hopping. But we don't put that in the label because that's just the way those beers are made. They've always been multiple stages of dry hopping. But as far as patina, this is a way for us to designate a difference between the flagship and this other version, we'll say. But yeah, we're stoked. So.
Another question here, so I'll take this right now. This is from Concrete Chow. Any more chance of rally as a non-seasonal, as calorie count in beer is becoming a bigger thing? It's also my favorite Austin Street beer.
Yes. Well, good news. Yeah, if we do start making beer again, we will be brewing Rally quickly. It was originally due to be released the first week of April, so next week, first full week of April. It won't be quite that soon, but it'll be coming right up. If that's the case, it's time. We're ready. Light is out. So Heather and Nathan are pushing us down that road. I love that beer too. I agree with that participant that I think it's probably my favorite beer that we do. As far as favorite like go-to beer to reach for. Yes, lower in calories for sure, 3.8%, all Maine grains, 100% mosaic hops. It's been a staple of ours back when it was called Crushable IPA back in the day.
Yeah.
When we had to give it a real name. But yes, if all goes as planned, or we hope as planned, that beer will be back.
It's just you and I and about 18 people watching right now. Do you want to break any news about any other beers that might be coming down the pipeline?
Yes, we're actually doing a collaboration with the Original Maine Flag. It's going to be called Original Maine Ale. And This is a true collaboration with them. So we worked with that organization directly, and the can art is really cool. And it's a pale ale. We're going from more like traditional old school version. Still has an Austin Street twist on it. Maybe something a little bit more maltier than what we're used to. And that should be really cool. That was due to be out very soon as well. It's been pushed back a little bit. But it will be out if everything goes well. Eventually, it'll be out no matter what. I just don't know when. We also...
That's fine.
Yeah. We always do a double IPA for our anniversaries, as folks may know. So we did for 4-year, 5-year, and then the 6-year, of course. That's April 12th. We're going to postpone that beer until we get a chance to reopen. And then hopefully if we can brew that, the timing's right, we'll sort of launch that, celebrate the reopening of the tasting room, and celebrate our 6 years in business. That's the goal right now. So we'll see.
Okay. A couple more questions here, kind of along those lines. My friend Kiara asks, which beer would you suggest to a new customer to win them over? Beer neophyte here.
Good question. Well, if you're talking Austin Street, when people come into the tasting room and they're asking a similar question, we always try to start them off with Patina, that Don's drinking, and it's a good, and actually Rally's a good beer to start people off with as well. So Patina's good. It's very approachable. It's very drinkable, but it has a lot of really nice complexities and undertones that if you want to dig into it and break down the beer for the aroma and the flavors, you can, or you can just open a can, sit back and enjoy it. And then when we start someone with that beer, we can sort of say, what did you like or what didn't you like about that beer? And they would say, oh, it's way too bitter. But I like hoppy beers, but this is too bitter. Okay, well, let's try something that's a little bit more heavily dry hopped, less bitter. Yeah. Move to like Anodyne or Florence. Or maybe they think, oh my God, yeah, this is like, I just don't like hoppy beers at all. So let's move to something else, like one of our lagers, or we could try one of our dark beers, try a stout. So, but yeah, Patina is a very safe bet for a new Austin Street fan.
Welcome, Kiara. You're with friends here. T.Lewis_NH asks, are there any plans for a double dry hopped Patina Nelson Sauvin version?
That's a good question. If my memory serves me correctly, I believe we've done that. And if I remember correctly, I really liked it. If that was the case. I
read that, I feel like you did that as well, and maybe they're asking for it to come back in the rotation, maybe.
It was. I'm pretty sure. I think we did one with like Galaxy as well, but I will. What you can do actually, I can't do it now because I'm on the phone right now. But if you go to our website and go to beer, and there's a list of all the beers we've ever done. If you click on the DDH Patina, it will actually list out all the versions we've done in the past, and it'll list what the featured hop was. So,
nice.
And yes, I'd love to do it again. Nelson is hard to come by. We don't have it contracted, but it's delicious, and it really transformed Patina completely. But great version.
We've got about 5 more minutes left with Will, and we're getting some great questions, so I'm going to take another one here. This is not anything I'm going to be able to figure out. LLY CF with asks, Is low ABV something that interests you? I love a hazy IPA, but often bail on the alcohol content. Would love something you could have a few more of, and that's Rally to a T right there.
Yeah, that's a perfect point. When Jake formulated Rally, the idea was let's get something under 4% that drank like it was somewhere above 4%. So using really interesting malt bill to satisfy that, or sort of trick your palate into thinking it's a bigger beer than it really is, worked great. And I think having that be a single hop too, using just Mosaic, really highlights very specific hop notes and flavors, which sort of drives you to, for me at least, it being a heavier beer. And if it's still pretty hazy too. So, and Patina is a good example of that as well. I mean, a session beer is technically something under 5%, as most of us know. Patina is 5.3. It's kind of right there. It's not technically, we're not going to call it a session, but it's down there. And a lot of our beers in our lager program too, our Kolsch is 5%, our Schwartz beer is 4.9, our German Pils is right around 5%. Or German style pills, I should say. But yeah, so we're floating right around there as well. And more often than not, you can find me drinking something from our lager tank nowadays. So
interesting. You're not alone. I'm not quite on the lager train, but a lot of folks that I talk to are definitely there with those are good times to have lagers. Another fan of yours, Ride Dill Sully, asks, will Paseo return anytime soon?
It's funny that they asked that because Dylan, our head brewer, worked on this beer with Jake, and he's just a big West Coast IPA fan. So he'll be so excited to hear that someone asked him about that beer. We're always joking about it. It's something that we don't brew too often because it doesn't sell super fast. But I love that beer a lot, and we'll definitely brew it again at least once a year. The cool thing about that beer too is actually the same hops as Patina. A very different malt bill. It's actually the same hops as Patina, sort of inverse. So Patina has a lot of Chinook Centennial and Columbus, or a little bit of Chinook Centennial and Columbus, a lot of Simcoe. Paseo is sort of the different, switch that around. So a little bit of Simcoe and a lot of the C hops. So it's pretty cool. It's actually a similar hop bill as far as varieties are concerned, but just much different quantities, quantities. So it's kind of a fun test. So if you ever get Paseo in your hand and you have a Patina and do a side-by-side, it's fun to pick up on the similarities, which we try to do in sensory. But yes, at least once a year. It's awesome beer.
So that person claps and gives you a thumbs up. Dave Chick from our team, also my brother-in-law, says cheers. Oxbow Beer gives a thumbs up.
Nice.
Both Kiara and Ride to Sully, thank you for the answers to your questions. And Josh Blackadar from National Distributors says hello. And the Bad Alex sends us heart eyeballs and a smiley face. So that's great. So just a couple more minutes left. You can still get your questions or comments in. But Will, I'm going to ask you how you're doing personally. Like, there's a lot of change, a lot of things that have happened. They've affected your business plan. You've talked about how you are a planner. So how are you doing, and how is the Austin Street team doing?
Do you really want to go inside my head?
You can be as honest as you feel comfortable with. How about that?
I'm doing all right. I think what I've been saying to people and asking them is, are you hanging in there? And then my response to people is that I'm hanging in there. It's a total bummer, and I don't mean that in a superficial way. I mean, I just actually wrote a little blurb for somebody earlier, and I was saying in that it's when you have this momentum of owning and running a business for 6 years and it just comes to a screeching halt, it's a very, very strange feeling. And I feel like now I'm almost working as hard to keep the business in the current state where I would just sort of like run it normally. It's almost a little bit of extra work. But we're not going to give up, and I know we're going to persevere. And so I'm keeping that in the back of my mind. And I have to say too, when it comes down to it, I'm happy, I'm healthy, my family is as well, my friends too, as far as I know. And so that I got to be grateful for that and thankful for that, because that's not the case everywhere else. So that may be like kind of a cliche thing to say, but when I'm started processing where I'm at and where everybody else is at, I'm feeling pretty good. So
it's tough. It's a tough thing all the way around. And I was talking with an industry colleague of mine, And we were talking about how often we've been just kind of like huddled up in a ball crying. It's like because we project that even when the breweries are able to allow guests back in, there will be probably another stepping stone of limited guests, and we might not be able to bring groups in for some time. So
sure.
That's why I keep saying, like, we're a tour company with buses, but the only tours we actually have are on the internet right now. And so people that are watching and supporting us here, it's a big deal to us because, we intend to keep going on once we can. I'll give you the final few moments to just kind of pitch why Austin Street, so you can prepare for that. Our friends at Oxbow Beer, who are appearing in a short time with us, have stated that because of the questioning, I think, that Flava needs to stop pre-gaming immediately because this might be more in depth than he thought. But we're also trying to have fun. And overall, the message is for anybody who's listening or watching is that Maine's breweries are open. They want to get beer to you. They're just doing it in different ways.
Sure.
And as long as you kind of do a quick bit of research on social media or their website, you can kind of figure it out, and you can get the beer that you're craving. I did it. Anybody can do it. So it's pretty easy to do. Road Rye 4130 is asking a very specific question. You don't have to get into too much detail, but basically the question is that the original batch of Neverender was amazing, but ever since then, it seems like it's changed. Is that something you've heard before?
I'm not sure if he's referring, he'll probably speak back out. I'm not sure if he's referring to the first batch ever or like the first season of that beer. It hasn't really undergone too many changes. I believe that we've made a house yeast change, which is probably the most significant change. The other idea with that beer too is that there's a period of time where the beer isn't produced, and when we start the beer back up, we're always using hops from a new harvest year or new crop year.
Yeah.
As well as, every ingredient in that beer is coming from the following growing season that the last beer used. And so we've given that a lot of thought as well. Also, everything that goes along with beer as far as how old it is, how it's stored, refrigerated, it's warm, so on and so forth. But I think the biggest change anyone might, if they remember, would be a change in house yeast and otherwise a variance in ingredients from year to year. Hops and malt, although fairly consistent, are not they're prone to changes, just like any other food ingredient would be. Like if you grow carrots in your garden, they may not taste like the carrots you grew there last year, even if you bought the seeds from the same place. So, I hope that answers that question a little bit better.
I think that's a fair answer, and things do change. You talk about hops and the grains, the malts themselves; they're species. There's derivations that happen as a result of year to year. So that's a really fair answer. Well, it's not always that the recipe is blown up. It's often some of the ingredients or the storage or service.
Yeah, the recipe hasn't changed much at all. And it's funny because you look at other beverages. Wine, for example, we tend to discover and enjoy the nuances or the changes in wine from year to year and from area to area. I don't know a ton about wine, but I do know that as far as like where if these grapes are growing near a certain body of water or at a certain elevation, and we find those things a little bit more endearing, those changes in wine. And that doesn't mean the beer has to be that way, but I personally like a little bit of variance, especially if even if it's not an improvement, it's kind of nice to have a change over time. Yeah. But to each his own. To each of their own.
Each of their own. Nice. Well done. Rye 4130 says, thanks for the clarification.
Cool.
The earlier question about low alcohol beers was thanked. That's the complicated one that I still don't know. But he or she says that Austin Street is their favorite brewery in Portland. A couple of things before we give Will the final notes here, the final moment, is that the Fox Street location is open 7 days, currently from 12 to 7, with drive-through service that you can just go there and get beer. They'll take care of you for that. The Industrial Way location is available for walk-through service. It's a dead-end road. You can't really do
No.
You can almost do it, but not quite.
If you don't keep driving. Don't keep driving.
Don't keep driving. That location's open Fridays 3 to 7 and Saturday 12 to 7. And again, check just in case things change. Delivery is available in the local Greater Portland area through CarHop, carhopme.com, a sponsor of these virtual tours. Use promo code BREWBUS to save 50% off of the delivery fee. I do want to thank, as I often forget, Greg Klein, who's producing behind the scenes, and Victoria Fura, who is helping us to do this. And here's why we do this. T. Lewis says yes to these live sessions. Keep it up. And we appreciate that. We appreciate that. It's a great way for us to connect and to also help to share the stories of what's really happening in Maine's breweries. So with that, Will, tell us why Austin Street, when we can freely go and come to your locations and buy your beer without any obstructions. Why Austin Street?
Well, now it's from the comfort of your own home or your own couch with delivery. So it's really
true.
going to be really cutting out here pretty soon. All right, so that's a great question. I've actually never been asked this question before in this. Well, at least like putting us against other breweries. But I think the thing with breweries is that there are a lot of options out there, and the fun of it all is trying them all. I mean, that's Maine Brew Bus gives people the chance to go out and try different breweries. Wraps up in a nice little package, and has been doing that with us from the very start, which is great. What I try to do is I don't think that our beer is the best beer that's out there. The response I guess I get to this question when I guess I've gotten it before is that I can honestly say that we do everything we can do here to maintain quality and consistency in our product to the best of our abilities. So every time we make a beer here, we're going to ensure that the customer is getting that same product every time or close to it as possible, the highest quality, and that I can rest on that, and we can always say that with comfort. And it also gives our staff, especially the taste room staff, the confidence to sell our product and talk to customers about it, knowing that every time they put a new keg on and pull the tap, there won't be any surprises with something weird coming out of the tap. Or you drive all the way here from out of state or somewhere else in the state, and you bring a 4-pack home and you open it. It's something that you're used to, and I get this from a lot of people that say, what I love about Austin Street is when I go out somewhere and I see your tap handle, we have the same tap handle for every beer. They said if I just see the Austin Street tap handle, and I will just order that. I don't care what it is. I just know that's going to be good and it's going to be done well, and that's really, really nice of people to say, people that feel that way. But that's like what we're going for. So to hear someone say that is the best compliment ever.
That's amazing. That's great. Catfish219 says best brother ever.
I was waiting for that.
There it is right there. There it is right there. This has been a conversation with Will Fisher from Austin Street Brewery in Portland. You can learn more about them at austinstreetbrewery.com. If you enjoyed this conversation, we ask for your consideration to throw a gratuity in our tip bucket. It's virtual. It's electronic, just like everything else. So right on our website at www.themainbrewbus.com, you'll see virtual brewery tours. You literally can choose this time slot and say that you enjoyed this conversation and you wanted to support this talk with Will. It's never expected, but always appreciated, and it helps us to keep going. It helps us to have some positive momentum. As you can imagine, with tour cancellations and pre-booked groups, we're not making a lot of money, and we want to. We don't have the option for curbside, drive-through, walk-through, delivery. We don't have the option for any of those things. So we do appreciate your consideration for that regard. And if you don't feel like throwing in a gratuity in, which is fine, gift cards are a great way you can support us. They never expire. You can use them yourself. You can visit Austin Street Brewery on a future tour, or you can give them to somebody else who will. So those are all available on our website. It's in the comments, www.themainbrewbus.com. And finally, we ask that you share these virtual tours with your networks. We're working really hard behind the scenes to produce these, to make them look good, to make them sound good. We're posting them on YouTube, on our website, and turning them into podcasts as well. And Greg Klein's been a big part of that. So, feel free. We'd love for you to share those, share the love for Austin Street, and share the love for the Maine Brew Bus. Any final words, Will?
No, I mean, you pretty much said it all. I really appreciate it. I do appreciate your support, though, and Maine Brew Bus has been there with us from before we were actually even open. So thank you, Don, and to the rest of the team. I appreciate the opportunity today to talk to everyone else. It's been nice to sort of do something social. So.
That's true. You're getting a lot of hearts on the side. I don't know if you can see that, but people are sending a lot of love your way. So fantastic. Thank you, Will. I do appreciate it. And that's it for now. We'll see you all next time.
All right.
Cheers.
Take care. See you later.